application for mixed solving equations, we wanted to give you some examples that were more true to real life examples. The thing about real life examples, though, is that they're not the nice, pretty equations with nice even numbers that you're given on most math worksheets. Instead, they can be ugly numbers, and they involve percentages, and they involve more pieces to the puzzle, so it's not as clear cut. But we're going to show you how to do a couple of things where you're just saving up to get some item, and you have to account for tax, and you have to account for what you already have and what you save per week and that kind of stuff. So we only gave you 2 examples. I didn't want to do either one of those because I want you guys to try them, so I wrote my own little sort of shell of a problem. So in my problem, you want to buy a thingamajig. It costs $123.45. It's an expensive thingamajig, plus 6% sales tax. You already have $12.34, and you are earning $5.67 per week. How long will it take you to get your thingamajig? All right, so the first thing it wants is the sales tax. To figure out how much tax you are going to have to pay on an item. And this is not just in a math problem, but this is in the store. If you're trying to figure out how much tax you're going to have to pay, then you take your sales tax percentage, in this case 6%, you turn it into a decimal, and then you multiply, that is hideous handwriting, I'm sorry. You multiply that percent by the cost of the item. So in this case, I've got 6%. I'm going to turn it into a decimal by saying 1, 2, so it's 0.06. And I am multiplying that by the cost of my item, which is $123.45. All right, so I'm going to pull up my calculator here, and I'm going to say 600ths, or 0.06, times 123.45, or $123.45. And that gives me 7.407. Now, we're talking about money here. So we don't, unless you're at a gas station, we don't have money going to the third decimal place or the thousandths place. So we've got to round to the nearest tenths place, which is your penny. You round to the nearest penny. So because this value is greater than 5, I'm going to round up, and that is $7.41. That's how much I'm going to have to pay in tax. So then the next part of the question, we're kind of stepping you through the process here. The next thing it asks is, what's going to be the total cost of your item? Well, the total cost, let's switch to another color. The total cost is going to be the cost of the item plus the tax. So in this case, the cost of my item is $123.45 plus my tax, which we just said was $7.41. So my total cost then, again, I can pull up my calculator if you want, or just make sure you line up your decimals. So I've got $123.45 plus $7.41. And what I get is $130.86. Okay, so that's the total cost of my item. Now we get to the actual saving up. It says to let W stand for weeks and write an equation. All these equations where you're trying to save up for an item and you've got some already saved and you're gaining a little bit each week, they all kind of follow the same pattern, which is we've got a starting value, in this case $12.34, because we said we already have $12.34 saved up. I'm going to add to this little nest egg, this little savings account I've got here, I'm going to add to that $5.67 per week. That per means I am multiplying this 567 by the number of weeks that go by. So I'm letting W stand for the number of weeks. So if 1 week goes by, then I'm just adding $5.67. If 2 weeks goes by, then it'll be 567 times 2, that I'm adding to 1234. So that's what's getting multiplied here is the 567 because it's the thing that's getting added repeatedly, which is what multiplication is. My total is going to be this total that we found in the previous step. I'm trying to save up until I've got $130.86. So now the question is, how long is it going to take me to get my thingamajig? Well, now I've just got to solve this equation. So I've got 1234, and really it's an easy equation to solve once you write it because it's just a two-step. So I have $12.34 plus 567 per week should be equal to 130.86. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract off that 1234. In the problem, that means I'm just working on isolating the variable. In the context of the situation that we have, what we're doing is we're subtracting off the savings that we've got to see how much I have left to save up. So 1234, that leaves me on this side with 567W. On this side, we got $118.52. And obviously, you don't have to use your calculator for that if you want to just do it by hand, but I don't want to make a mistake on a video. That would be embarrassing. Okay, so then I've got some multiplication here. So to undo that multiplication, I'm going to divide by 567. This I would not recommend doing by hand because what an ugly long division problem that would be. That is 118.52 divided by 567 gives us 20.9 with a whole lot of decimals. Ugh. So here's what you've got to think. Up here, when we were working with our money, we rounded to the nearest penny because that's what made sense for the problem. Down here, though, you've got to think about what that W is standing for. That W is standing for how many weeks it's going to take you to save up. Well, 20.9 means that 20 weeks isn't going to be enough. You're not going to have enough money. And we only know that at the end of each week I have $5.67. So that means I've got to round up to the next whole week, regardless of what this is. If it had been a 20.1, that still means that at 20 weeks I don't have enough money. At 21 weeks I do have enough money. So the answer then is 21 weeks of saving. Hopefully it's a really good thingamajig. All right, good luck. We'll see you next time.